Welcome to the Scoop World Order. I hope you guys had a great day today. The David Penterick Golf Classic at Youngstown Country Club is incredible. Michigan is going to get cooked. And did we figure out the culprit from the Central Michigan sideline that Connor Sirens was on? Who let him on there? Well, coach got fired today, a day before training camp. Kind of a weird time to fire a guy when you've had all off season and you start camp on a Thursday like everyone else in the country does. But hey, things are starting to align, and it is not looking good for the Big Blue. So we're going to get into all of that. As always, if you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, also click that little alert bell. We had a fantastic time at the Buckeye Scoop golf outing, the David Penterick Classic, as I like to call it. Incredible group of people. Great, just incredible camaraderie. It was a little rainy towards the end of it, but I mean, it was just awesome seeing all you guys. Shout out to Stacy, who made us gift bags with Buckeye Scoop gear on it. I'm going to show you guys that in a second. It's hilarious. We had golf balls that said the word massive on it. We had ball markers with Buckeye Scoop on it that she all had custom made, and it's stellar. With great stories. Some really special people. So it was a great day. Shout out David Penterick for that, and shout out to everybody that came up to that because it was a blast seeing everybody. As always, if you enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, also click that little alert bell. Again, we appreciate you guys for all that you guys do. And any of you that have not made the pilgrimage to Youngstown Country Club for the golf outing, you're missing out because it was an absolute blast today. And we had, you got to be a member of BuckeyeScoop.com, but people were signing up just to do the golf outing, and everybody had an incredible time. There's a nice thread on it on our message board, kind of detailing everything that went down, and it was a really good time. So I appreciate you guys as always. Shout out where you guys are watching from. Shout out who you guys are watching with, and let's get right into it right now. Nevada, they just kind of recently, with the Western Michigan position coach being let go a couple days before camp, kind of raises an eyebrow when you've got the Connor Stallion stuff looming. You got some information on potential punishments for Michigan. Where would you like to begin tonight?
Boy, I mean, so much to unwrap. Let's start with the Central Michigan thing first, and then we'll get into it's like the appetizer, then we'll get into the main course. Yeah, Jake Costner, who's been serving as Central Michigan's quarterback coach, is now all of a sudden not expected to remain with the team. Very interesting, very interesting timing. They talk about Costner, and he's a Grand Haven, Michigan native with deep ties to the state after working 4 years under former coach Jim Harbaugh as a student assistant in the Wolverines football program. So could that be the guy that was part of that little student assistant Geppetto gang that Stallions was like the tallest midget in, and was leading them, with his manifesto and talking about how they're going to take over Michigan football? Could that have been the guy that put him on the sidelines in the Central Michigan gear, disguised as a coach with spy glasses on? I mean, the timing does seem really. I mean, you can connect the dots on this pretty easily and kind of go, "Wow, you knew somebody's head was going to go," because the fact is he was on the sideline. It's a fact, not a dispute. McElwain acknowledged as much. I mean, not that we needed any acknowledgement, but it's been acknowledged that the sign stealer was on the sideline. They've been trying to figure out how to get to who got him there, and now quarterback coach who's got deep ties to Jim Harbaugh and everything is released right before camp starts. I mean, it does seem kind of weird.
And he spent just to add some color. He spent 4 years under former Michigan coach Jim Harbaugh as a student assistant for the Michigan Wolverines football program. So again, it's not hard to connect. Well, who could have possibly got him? Not just got him on the sideline, because here's Connor, our buddy, right here, looking down at the ground. Again, if you guys have ever, most of you guys have probably not been on a football sideline in a coaching capacity. Like if there's a coach sprinting towards the sideline, generally you're either you get out of the way to make sure he doesn't run into you, and then you go like check on him, make sure he's okay, help him, make sure he doesn't blow his knee out on this bench. But this guy is looking at the ground, tugging on his cap. Like this is the best. He like does like a cap tug, sunglasses on you. Everybody else is making sure, hey, you didn't dislocate your knee or you didn't hyperextend your knee against, this is a metal bench you're running into. I mean, you've seen some bad stuff happen when guys go out of bounds. They run into those carts that hold the TV cameras. I mean, anything on the sideline, especially like a place like Michigan State, where this is a really close sideline. I mean, this is the playing field. Here's the bench. Like at Ohio State, you probably have another, I don't know, 4 or 5 yards to slow down. But on here, like Iowa, they've got really tight sidelines. So this is a hazard. So usually guys are going to help him, but not this guy, not Connor, who's not supposed to be there, and he's looking at the ground with the spyglasses on. It's so bad. But yeah, I mean, again, when you connect the dots and you see that the guy that got let go, because again, you don't let a guy go a day before training camp opens, and you also don't let him go when, again, this is something that someone had to fess up. Someone had to, okay, I did it. Because, like I said, he had the gear, too. They got him a coaching shirt. They got him a hat. So someone had to go to the equipment manager. Hey, I need another shirt. I lost mine or whatever. And they gave it to him. They gave him a pass. It's bad. But there's nothing more unusual in the universe than when you have all off season to set your coaching staff and then you decide to let a guy go the day before camp opens. So again, Nevada, I think that there's a lot of smoke around this one and there's a lot of fire around it too. Second thought on some of the other Michigan stuff that you talked about today.
Yeah, now this is the main course. The main course now, let's talk Michigan penalties. And we kind of touched a little bit on this, but I've got a little bit more specificity as to what and we've talked about the kind of the law and order part of the thing, and about the infractions committee and the enforcement division and how they kind of work together. I can tell you right now that the ask for Michigan, and this is kind of the framework of what I think the penalties will look like for Michigan. I think the NCAA will ask for a 3-year postseason ban, and I think this will be handled via negotiated settlement. I think they'll end up settling on 2. I think it'll be a 2-year postseason ban. I think it'll be a vacation of the entire 2021 season, the 2022 season, and the first 7 games of 2023. I think it'll be a 15 scholarship reduction over 3 years. I think it'll be a $10 million fine. And I think it'll be a 10-year show cause for Harbaugh and 5 years of probation for Michigan. I think that's the package. That's the great parting gift that Michigan is going to get out of this thing. I think then what will happen is I think they'll surrender the Big Ten titles that they won during those years due to the vacation of the wins, so they would not have qualified to the Big Ten title. And then ultimately, then that'll be forwarded on to the College Football Playoff Committee. No idea what they're going to do. That's a third party, and no idea what they'll do with a team that vacated 7 of their wins during that run up to the College Football Playoff and ultimately the championship. No idea what they're going to do, but I believe that they'll vacate the Big Ten championships for sure, along with those wins, and that's kind of what I got. But that's a pretty good thing. If you're looking for kind of a framework of where the penalties are going to fall into, that's kind of the framework that they're working from. And look, is it enough? No, I think for a lot of people it won't be. A lot of people want that program burnt to the ground. They want the death penalty. They want so they'll say, "Oh, that's nothing. That's a nothing burger. That's a Fisher Price hammer." To me, it's a pretty big hammer, pretty significant penalties. But I think it's fair, and I think it's commensurate to the crime, and I think that's ultimately where they're going to end up.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's getting smoked, in my opinion. I mean, you lose a couple years of postseason play, you get your wins vacated. I mean, we don't celebrate the Sugar Bowl. We won that Sugar Bowl, and that was our first one ever over an SEC school, and 12-1 season, and it's basically off the books. It's like that entire crew has been erased from history. Terrell Pryor and all those guys. So, again, there's a stench that comes with it. There's a black eye. It's something those guys are going to wear for the rest of their lives. And again, that's part of doing business that way. So I think that's a really sizable penalty. Again, I lived the bowl ban. I mean, it's hard to recruit during the bowl ban because, especially a 2-year bowl ban, everyone's going to use that against you. So it's going to set your roster back. Then you get scholarship reductions on top of it. It's going to be tough. It's going to be interesting to see what it all looks like. And again, this is just this stuff's all over the map. So if that happens, I'd be thrilled because I think it's going to be a pretty stiff penalty, in my opinion. Because like I said, vacating the wins is huge. there's no justice in that just because, it doesn't give Ohio State a win. That was like, when we vacated all of our wins, it wasn't like the teams that we beat got a win out of it. It's just like it's like the game didn't exist. But it severely, damages Michigan's reputation and all of the players' reputation. And again, like it's something like for the rest of their careers, like once this comes down, they're going to be known as cheaters. So it doesn't help that crew that is so proud of winning the national championship last year. Nevada, anything else to add? And we can talk a little bit. We're a couple days out from practice. Anything else to add?
Well, I think there'll be recruiting restrictions as well that go into that. I mean,
Oh,
again, I'm trying sorting through kind of the minor things on that, but I think for Michigan, I think they're lucky that they're really not talking about forfeits at this point in time because forfeits obviously would give the win to the other team, and I think for Michigan, if one ever called for a forfeit, it'd be this. I mean,
yeah.
you did stuff that directly affected the outcome of the game, not indirectly, not kinda, not influenced, like
Hmm.
directly affected the outcome of the game. So for me, I personally think forfeits are the more appropriate remedy on this. But I think they're talking about vacating, and like I said, I think this will be part of I think that's as good as Michigan's going to get in this negotiated settlement. I think they'll be lucky to only get the two. They'll be lucky to only get the vacation of wins, and I think the 5-year probation is appropriate. Jim Harbaugh will never coach in college football again. People say, "Oh, that doesn't matter." Jim Harbaugh doesn't. He's not going to come back to college football anyway. But I mean, when you get what's the essentially is a lifetime ban from college football, man, that's a stain. And and it's funny you talk about how the prior team and everything. So many of their accomplishments have been kind of erased, and you look at what that was for. And I understand those were the rules at the time, but a bunch of trinkets and stuff compared to a team directly cheating to influence the game. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on. It's I think Michigan's getting off light with this, and I think they'll be like the program's really going to struggle now because they were struggling big time before the cheating. Now with this, like sincerely believe this sets them back at least another 10 years, and you know. I think that's probably appropriate for the that's the appropriate punishment for the crime.
Yeah, I completely agree. Uh, Nevada 2 days out from camp. Thursday, the foot hits the ball. There are going to be a ton of people there. Some of the people from the scoop outing are going to be there. It's going to be interesting because again, I know that we have to raise money, so that's why they're selling tickets to a non padded practice for $50, which is highway robbery. But hey, in the era of NIL, maybe like people are dying to go watch it, and they have VIP tickets to watch a non-practice for $150. Which again, God bless capitalism because there is a demand because people, Ohio State fans have an insatiable desire to watch Ohio State football. So hey, I like it because we're gonna raise money for NIL, which is awesome. But what are your thoughts? Because again, I feel like this team is cranking. JJ Smith won. He won the weight room, Mickey Marotti Award for the third time at the summer this week. And I talked to a great source, and Mickey Marotti invoked the name of Percy Harvin when he talked about JJ Smith. He said the only guy who's in JJ's class is Percy Harvin, and I was like, and again, you guys didn't work at. Again, I could talk to Zach Smith about this all day. Like when those guys were talking about Percy, it was like literally he invented not just football, but like the entire known universe. He was like that. I mean, when Urban and Mickey talk Percy, so like when they compare JJ to Percy, man, that's almost scary, but that's where it's at. I mean, you got a guy who's a true freshman who won 3 out of however many 5 awards. That never happens with a guy like Mickey Marotti. Mickey Marotti does not just hand it out and say, "Oh, we got to make this freshman feel good." Usually, it's the other way. It's like, "Hey, we gave it to JJ last week. Let's give one to Trey Henderson. Let's give one to Quinshawn. Let's give one to Mecca. Let's give one to G. Scott won it the one week. Let's give one to Ennis." But no, they said, screw it. JJ's that dominant. We're giving it to him 3 times. What are you most excited to hear about on Thursday?
Well, I think when you're talking about dudes and you talk about JJ, we've talked about JJ and his exploits, but I do want to recognize the other guys that were recognized as dudes of the week. The latest ones, um, Patrick Gerd, and Patrick Gerd.
Oh, did we lose you, Nevada? I think we did. I think Nevada is there. There you
No,
are. You're
am I
back.
here?
Yeah, you're back.
I think you knocked me off. No, I was just talking about Patrick Gerd. I mean, Patrick Gerd, he's been a multiple time winner of this Dude of the Week award, and he's a guy that people should pay attention to. He's a tight end out of New Albany, a senior. Kind of in the Mitch Rossi kind of role of the guy that kind of comes out of nowhere. I believe he's got to be the son of Andy Gerd, I'd imagine, with that name
No, absolutely, he is absolutely.
yeah. So I mean, I love stories like that. I mean, as good as the J.J. Smith stories are and stuff like that, I love the Patrick Hurd stories about this guy that nobody's paying attention to. But Mickey Marotti's like, yeah, this guy is just is getting it done so much so that I'm going to recognize him over and over again as the hardest worker of the week. I think he's going to do some good things for us. And that tight end room, we've talked about how wide open it is. We've talked about how you need G Scott, you need Jelani Thurman, you need Kaz Merrick, the transfer that they got in. But I'd love to see a guy like Patrick Gerd come in and ball out and do things like Mitch Rossi did that year. And by all indications, if Mickey's thing's any indicator, which I think it is, that's probably a name you should pay attention to. The third guy for the Dude of the Week, another repeat winner, Josh Fryer. Josh, remember the name Fryer at right tackle, a guy that a lot of people have been on talking about. Man, he continues his unbelievable offseason. He was so good during winter conditioning and in the spring and over the summer, and he's just continuing it right into fall camp there. Guy's in tremendous shape, and I think he's poised to have an absolutely monster year at right tackle for Ohio State. So, as excited as I am about some of the bigger names, man, the unheralded guys, I love seeing those guys come out and play and see who's gonna, doesn't Ian Moore jump in? Does a Jermaine Matthews? I mean, who's gonna come up and grab playing a Jaden Bonsu? Who's gonna come up and grab some playing time from the ones? And that's what I'm going to be looking for early in camp. And we'll see if there's any guys that have really kind of transformed their bodies, transformed their mental outlook, and ready to make a play for more playing time in the fall.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do with Patrick Gerd. He's a guy that I'm very excited about because I've known his dad for a long time. There was a time where his dad was vying to be the president of, I believe, the Alumni Association. I thought he should have got it. I've had lunch with him numerous times. Fantastic dude. His kid is a beast now. I mean, he's really like, I'm not gonna get too passionate. I'm not gonna go ballistic on the morons that are trying to cap the rosters at 105 with the stupid 105 scholarship. But like, he's the kind of kid that never would have gotten to play at Ohio State, which is where his dad played at, if he wasn't allowed to walk on, because they wouldn't have taken him out of high school. Maybe in some miracle he could have gone somewhere else and tried to carve out a role and maybe hit the portal. But is Ohio State going to take him in the portal? Probably not. So he's the guy that has to go there, despite being a legacy, and scrap and fight and prove it. And now he's going to be one of the most valuable guys on this entire team. Again, you guys have to remember, like, maybe not everybody remembers Mitch Rossi. Mitch Rossi was a kid that was, he was a huge factor on special teams. He was the guy that they used as a fullback. It was a blocking tight end with Cade Stover. He was on the field for the last play of CJ Stroud's career versus Georgia. He was playing running back because he was such a good pass blocker. So when they needed it the most, they put him out there at running back. A walk-on kid, tough as nails, got a little sniff in the league for about a couple weeks. But in the NFL they don't use fullbacks at all. And he's not like a super tight end athlete, but for the utility he had in college, he was an incredible player. And that's why and again, every college coach in unison hates this potential rule of adding 20 scholarships, but then capping, which again, I think is in direct measure to make it so that people can't expand the scholarship count. Because right now, they say that you have 85 scholarships, but if you have some guy who's a billionaire, you could have 100 scholarships. You could have 100 more scholarships. If a guy wants to pay for it through NIL, because again, a guy like Lorenzo Styles Jr. is technically a walk-on, but a collective pays for his tuition, his books, pays for everything. So Lorenzo never sees a bill. And he gets all of his tuition through NIL. So I think that the reaction was, well, we have to cap the rosters now. We can't, so again, I don't know how they work that out. Because technically you could never, there's some schools with enough money that they could say, hey, no, we have no more walk-ons. Everyone's on scholarship. And then that opens up a can of worms. So I don't know how they fix this, but like losing a walk-on in college, it'd be like taking like the band away. It'd be like taking the mascots away. It'd be like taking away the pageantry. Like there's nothing better than when a walk-on, bets on himself, goes to a program that didn't want him, flat out didn't want him. They didn't offer him a scholarship. And then he goes and he works and he earns a scholarship. Like some of these guys earn a scholarship in their third year and they're on scholarship year 3, 4, 5. So, I mean, they prove it. They're so valuable the first 2 years that they get put on. And they can always say they're a scholarship football player at Ohio State. There's no you don't get like some sort of badge or something that says, oh, I was offered out of high school versus I earned it in my second, third, fourth year. And again, you find diamonds in the rough because scouting is a very inaccurate science and kids have different motivations. A kid like Patrick Gurd showing up, with his dad playing here, growing up a Buckeye fan. He's from New Albany. He's the easiest kid in the universe to work for. And he's turned into an absolute monster. He's an absolute beast. He's a guy that is a throwback guy that, again, when Chip Kelly likes to get creative and do the T formation and do I formation, he needs a fullback. And there you go. You got your fullback. And he's a punishing blocker. And again, we don't have a great blocker on the edge at tight end. So he might be that guy. So again, if Jelani Thurman, who we all have sky high hopes for, if he doesn't, come correct and get cranking and get that motor on a little bit, then a guy like Patrick Gurd might actually be a better player this year for our team, for what we need. And I bet right now the coaches trust him more than they trust Jelani, which again, that's something where, Keenan Bailey's got to start earning his salary. If Jelani's not a factor this year, you got to ask what's going on in that room in terms of development. 'Cause he's by far the most talented tight end on the roster. And he's got to become a factor this year. And again, that might mean that you don't get to be his homeboy anymore. You have to actually be his coach. And that's something that I think is an issue with some of the younger coaches that are on the staff. Nevada, anything else? And we will roll into some super chats.
No, like I said, I love these stories. I love the Brennan Shrams and the Patrick Gurds. I love the guys that kind of come, the Ohio kids that want to be Buckeyes, that walk on and make an impact and that ball out, during the spring, that lead the way during the summer. And I really think he's going to be a player. And like I said, and we bang on the tight end coach and we bang on, the room and some of the lack of development. But, this comes on, then that's a good thing. That's a positive because this stuff doesn't happen in a vacuum. And I know, we're all rooting for the kids, but when the kids do good, I think we got to give the position coach recognition and gratitude. And when they don't, I think they deserve the blame. So, no, this would be definitely a nice feather in the cap. And I really think he's going to play an interesting role in the Chip Kelly offense because I've watched the Chip Kelly offense for years, up close and personal at UCLA. And, man, he loves to do stuff with the tight ends and the fullbacks. Just absolutely loves to do this. I mean, he loves to put them in kind of wacky spots and isolate those guys. And he uses them a lot the same way that the San Francisco 49ers do. And it's unbelievable to watch, and a guy like Gurd is the perfect kid for a spot like that, and I think he's going to have a big impact.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing about Chip is he tries to do stuff that teams aren't used to defending. So again, like you go back 20 years ago, everybody ran a fullback. Now nobody runs a fullback. So it would surprise me if we did more fullbacks. We showed it a couple years ago when we had Mitch. We didn't show it last year when we didn't have him, but we started running some I formation stuff and guys don't know how to defend it. Like players don't know how to defend it. They don't know, oh my God, we got a fullback in the game. It's like you've got like an alien space shuttle landing in the middle of the field because people are just like, it's I formation. Like that's a fullback. We don't know what that is because we're used to a flex tight end, taking that guy's spot in a third wide receiver. So I think he's going to have a huge role. I'm really excited about it. And again, it could happen to a better family. So I'm really, really excited for that kid. All right, let's get into super chats. My man, David Penterick, who is the star of the show today. Thank you for being an Ultra member. Thank you for the 20. And thank you to David Penterick for all you do. Because David organizes and pays for our entire outing. Everybody usually gives $100 to pay it forward via our website. But it's just an absolutely fantastic day. We have a great question and answer at the end. Just a blast. And again, the crowd this year was just incredible. Just a complete ball. And we had some really good golf for Seller, too. So there was actually some really good golf played, too. So it was everything. Again, David, thanks for the 20. Appreciate you, my man. Hey, all. Thank you to everyone who showed up today at YCC. As Kirk always says, it's great because you guys make it great, which is the truth. That's why this show is the best show there is. There's nothing even close to this show, and we appreciate you guys for being a huge part of it. Mark it on your calendars for next year. What program will be Ohio State's biggest national rival? I mean, Nevada, to me, it's got to be the Oregon Ducks. I mean, my opinion. Again, and when you say national, I'm thinking like not Michigan. Obviously, no one will ever touch Michigan because they're one state away. But when I think national, I think the enhanced Big Ten. I mean, it's hard to run into Georgia. I feel like a rival is something that you're going to see a lot. Over the next 5 years, I think we're going to see Georgia a lot in that championship game. So I'm going to go, Oregon. I think we're going to see Oregon in the Big Ten title, and I think we're going to see Georgia a lot in the playoffs. So I'll go with those two. I'm sure that'll get the fans cranked up. What are your thoughts, Nevada? What program will be Ohio State's biggest national rival?
I'm gonna go with a couple. So I'm gonna kind of hedge. I'm gonna go with it's kind of like the Big Ten rival. It'll be Oregon, but the national rival, I'm gonna go with Texas. I think we're setting ourselves up for some great games with Texas down the road, and I like the direction of their program. I think they're doing a nice job down there, and those games are always great. I have to say I love the Texas fans. I do love the Texas. If you've ever been down to a game down there, they're great people. They're very welcoming. It's not like going to the big outhouse up there in Ann Arbor or someplace like that where you're taking your life into your hands. Texas folks are just they're big on hospitality. They're big on treating the visiting fans well, and they have a great tradition and great football program. And I think they'll be. I think Kirby Smart's going to be off to the NFL. I think all this stuff that's going on there with that program is going to chase him out of college football because I think their program's out of control right now. But I think it's going to be Texas and Ohio State battling out for kind of the top thing is I think Alabama and Georgia are going to start declining.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think that you're going to see a guy like Kirby is going to get offered a lot of money. I think all these guys want to test out the NFL at some point. So it'll be interesting to see how long he sticks. I give him a quick shout out to my girl, Stacy. Stacy made us see these golf bags, and this will probably be very difficult to see, but it says massively support, which, I see how close I can get to the camera. That way. So it says massively support, which is amazing. And there's a Buckeye Scoop ball marker, which I can't find. And my bag looked amazing before it got absolutely drenched on. Because we got caught in a hurricane, but she made little Buckeye Scoop bags, which mine's got a little tear in it, and put Buckeye leaves on it. So, again, thank you. She's with her son, Zach, her mom, Cheryl, her sister, Kelly. Shout out to Kelly for helping out making the bags. I was joking that she had an indentured servant that was helping put all the bags together. But I'm telling you, it was an incredible day. Everybody got a bag. They have Buckeye Scoop markers now and golf balls that say massively support, which is like, is this amazing? I was like, that was the coolest thing I've ever seen. So I appreciate you guys coming up. Yeah, they were crushing the ball too. I mean, they were killing the ball and having a blast. And like I said, it was such a special day. So I appreciate you guys. Premjot Sandhu, appreciate you, my friend. Thank you for the 5. So ready the season to go, Buckeyes. Also, do you guys think their title will get taken away? Well, I'm with Nevada. I'm like, if you vacate 7 games from the season last year, I don't know how they get to keep the title. I mean, you can't say, oh, they've got 5 wins or whatever, 6 wins, 7 wins, whatever it is, and say, oh, and you get to keep the title. Like, it seems like when you vacate the season or you vacate however many games, like, I think it looks silly if they don't remove that. Because again, like, do you really want your your title hanging in the hallways of a team that got caught cheating the way they did? I wouldn't. Again, this is a long-term deal. It's a long-term championship. The college football playoff is going to be it's the mecca of every program is getting that gold trophy. We got one in 2014, the new giant gold thing, and I don't know if I'd want that hanging in there if I ran the committee. It's just my opinion. Nevada, what are your thoughts? Again, Param Shots, Sandu, appreciate you, my man. Thank you for the 5. This is so ready for the season. Guys, go Buckeyes. Also, do you guys think their title gets taken away? What are your thoughts, Nevada?
I mean, and again, I want to be quoted correctly on this one because I know if I say something and people are like, "Oh, Nevada said this was going to happen," and it's like, I think it should. I think that if you follow the logic train, they weren't eligible to be playing in the college football playoff, and I strongly believe that the Big Ten's going to act. That the Big Ten's always reserved the right for further action once the NCAA deliver their report. I think the action for the Big Ten is going to be removing the Big Ten title, and I don't think Michigan was should have been qualified, should have been eligible to play in the college football playoff, and as a result, I would think it's going to get taken away. I really do, because again, if you don't take this one away, when would you ever take one away?
I mean, that's my point. I mean, if you take away 7 wins from that season, I just don't know how you keep the title. Makes no sense. I mean, because again, like you're not going to even qualify for the playoffs, even if you win the rest of your games. Adam Dowling, and thank you for the 5. Appreciate you, my friend. I'm a Notre Dame fan. Great work on these cheaters. You guys have the best information on the scandal. We appreciate that, Adam. Again, I'm not a huge Notre Dame fan, but Joe Rudolph, who is your offensive line coach, was a graduate assistant at Ohio State when I played there, and then he was a strength coach for a couple years while I was there, and he's one of my favorite coaches in the history of mankind. One of the greatest gentlemen, an incredible coach, a guy that I'd love if he was at Ohio State, and that's not a slight on Justin Fry, but Rudy was awesome, huge in my development as a player. Love him to death. I missed him when he was gone. He ended up going with. He went with Callahan to Nebraska, and then he was at Wisconsin with Paul Chryst, and then he went to Pittsburgh with Paul Chryst, and then he ended up at Notre Dame. Marcus Freeman when Harry Hessein retired, he got Rudy. And again, it's just funny how time is a flat circle in the world of football because Marcus Freeman he's a year younger than me, so he was in the Woody. He knew Joe Rudolph when he was again when you're a young guy in the profession. Joe Rudolph played in the NFL for a couple years for the 49ers and, nice career, played at Wisconsin. But Rudy was a guy trying to do whatever he could. His GA, got offered a strength and conditioning job at Ohio State as an assistant strength coach, but he was trying to get his foot in the door, kind of work his way up the right ladder. Then he became, a tight ends coach, then an O-line coach, then an offensive coordinator. So he had a nice resume, and he was available. I believe he might have been, I don't know where he was at before Notre Dame. I don't know if it was, I think he was at Virginia Tech. He was at Virginia Tech before Notre Dame. And when Harry retired all of a sudden, Marcus, who was a player and worked out under the direction of Joe Rudolph, who was an assistant to Eric Lichter, called him. And now he's a line coach at Notre Dame. And again, those guys come off the rock. Like you watch, you ask Jack Sawyer and JT about those guys. I mean, they're a physical bunch. Obviously their left tackle went, I think 6 overall to LA Chargers. Harbaugh took Joe Alt. So he knows how to develop them. So I actually am a pseudo Notre Dame fan. Not huge, but just you root for people that are great people, and he's one of them. Nevada, Adam says, I'm a Notre Dame fan. Great work on these cheaters. You guys have had the best information on the scandal. Your thoughts, Nevada?
Well, again, that's a very nice compliment, and I appreciate that very, very, very much. We work hard at it. The stuff that we're talking about today, the Jake Costner stuff now is breaking nationally. I think Adam Rittenberg is going on that right now. And I think for people that are out there, I know Ohio State fans have a little bit of an inferiority complex, and they're like, no one cares about this but us. It's like, guys, this stuff's starting to break open again. When you hear the Stephen A. Smiths going on and the Adam Rittenbergs, this is not just a Ohio State fans are the only people that care about this. This is just the national media has the attention span of a fruit fly, so they're just waiting for the next stuff to come, and then they'll jump all over it because this is a major story. It's the biggest cheating scandal in the history of college football, and as the stuff comes down, it's not. So don't just think it's just an Ohio State thing or an Ohio State podcast thing or a Kirk and Nevada thing. It's a major story. Like I said, the Costner thing that we were just talking about 30 minutes ago is now breaking on ESPN. So, yeah, we try to stay ahead of the curve on this. We're exceptionally well sourced up on the story. We'll tell you when we have it. We'll tell you when we don't. But again, back to the nice compliment. Thank you so much, and thanks for being here and being part of our podcast.
Yeah, and thanks for tuning in. And again, we've had Michigan people that watch our show just because their beat's terrible, so they watch what we do. And again, it's great, and again, it's always fun to get the stuff and get the information out to you guys and do it accurately. I mean, we're here to give you a balanced commentary on what's going on. Again, that's like the same thing we do with Ohio State. I mean, we are very much we want to give everyone a fair shake and do the best we can. And our sources have been incredible over the last year, so it's been really longer than that. But I mean, since the Michigan stuff broke last October, wow, it's been nuts. Sergio Asoma, thanks for the 5. Appreciate you, my man. If they get 7 wins from 2023 vacated, how could the college football committee not vacate the fake 9? I mean, I think that they have to, don't they? I mean, how can you keep a national championship or a conference championship when they lose 7 games? They won't even, obviously they won't qualify for the playoffs with that many with anywhere near that many losses. You lose 2 games, you're not going to make the playoffs usually. So that's our line of thinking, and I think that they don't want they don't want to stain. I kind of feel like the college football playoff committee would operate kind of like the Olympic committee. Like I don't know if you guys have watched there's an outstanding documentary on Butch Reynolds that's on ESPN. You guys have to watch it. And Butch was one of my strength coaches at Ohio State. He's our speed coach, worked with us for a few years. Like, I really didn't know his story and how he got jobbed on when they said that he failed a test that he didn't fail and how the lab did it. And they still put the screws to him. That was like Michigan. Michigan's like someone that took like every steroid in the world and peed in a cup and they got caught. But like, I think that, that Olympic committee wanted to make a statement about being anti-cheating and they just threw Butch away like a pile of trash. So I think when it's that obvious that he didn't do what they said he did, but they still smack him, what are they going to do? Like, what's an organization do that's trying to keep their reputation up, like the college football playoff? What do they do when they've got this mountain of evidence and this outcry that'll only grow about Michigan? Because again, like once this full investigation is revealed, like we might podcast for 10 straight hours. I mean, I'm not even kidding because I can't wait to dig through this thing. So I think that they have to lose the title at that point. I mean, like they did all this cheating. They caused all this anguish in the coaching community. I mean, again, I always talk about like, coaches getting fired and coaching, whatever. Like, imagine if you're Ryan Day and you've been beaten to death by our fan base over these Michigan losses. And then you find out that these guys were cheating the whole time. And it cost CJ Stroud 2 Heismans. It cost us a couple of, big time wins versus Michigan, gold pants, Big Ten championships. Like, there's a lot of stuff that's on the line here. And you find out they're cheating, man. I mean, come on. I mean, even like Gene Smith, who we don't really agree with very often, he said, that it shouldn't exist. Like, it should be gone. So that's just my opinion. Nevada, Sergio Soma, again, thank you for the 5. Says, if they get 7 wins from 2023 vacated, how could the CFP committee not vacate their fake natty? What are your thoughts?
Well, yeah, and I've said this before. If you go back to Ohio State history, even in recent history, and you look at what games cost us the national championship, and it wasn't always the Michigan game or the big game. It was a slip up against Purdue or a slip up against Iowa or a slip up against Michigan State. Those are the games. So I mean, for the fact that Michigan was cheating this year, that Rutgers game, man, they were in jeopardy, and that was the game that Schiano famously was like losing his mind going off the field at halftime, and the sideline announcer that has the biggest scoop in the history of college football with right there refuses to ask a follow-up question to him about why he was so angry and what he was talking about during what was going on out there, because he wanted to say it, man. He was ready to go on national television, and she had her moment. She would have been famous, and she completely choked that one away. But no, I mean, they were able to dodge a lot of bullets along the way, and the Michigan fans are hanging on the fact that the head of the NCAA is like, they won fair and square. He didn't. The context of that was the discussion about the championship game, not the season, not giving some sort of endorsement of what was going on with Michigan. And I know that's all they have at this point. That's why they hang on to that so much. But I don't see any way that they were eligible to play in the college football playoff last year. I don't see any way. And if you weren't eligible to play in it, I don't know how you can win it. So that's what I'll say. It's you have to really stretch logic to its crazy degree to kind of get there to figure out any way that they were eligible to play. I just don't see it.
Yeah, I literally couldn't I couldn't agree more. It's going to be fascinating to see how this shakes down. Don Schaefer, great seeing you today at the Scoop outing. They've been ultra member. Thank you for the 20. Shout out to David and Kirk and Andre, ever involved in putting on. Shout out to my boy Andre Dukes, who's wearing the massive T-shirt today. Watch his podcast. Andre Duke's show is a great show. I've done it a few times. I'm going to do it again soon. Everyone that was putting on the golf outing, what a great event. Appreciate you, my man. My brother joined the Scoop today after the outing. Question: how many teams from the Big Ten make the playoffs? Well, before I get into that, I'm going to mention that we had an incredible member today. It was pretty special. Emmett Schaefer, who was I gotta get this right, the 160th Store Company commander in the Black Hawk Down operation. So he literally golfed at our outing today and kind of told the story of Black Hawk Down, like living it. So a guy that won a Silver Star, just an absolute true like American hero, played in this. And again, this is the special thing about the outing is his brother's a member of the Scoop. He joined the Scoop today. These are the kind of people we have, folks. Like we have some of the greatest patriots, some of the greatest human beings in the world on this. And again, it's always fun to get together at these events when we have events at Buffalo Wild Wings or Twin Peaks or Youngstown Country Club, wherever, and get to know some of these people because it was impressive. I did a quick little 15-minute question and answer session for the people that showed up, and it was a hoot. I mean, it was an ask me anything. I was like, anything you guys want to know? Like right here, cameras aren't rolling, so far away. So I got some great questions. That's kind of one of the benefits. And then he told the story kind of from his eyes of the Black Hawk Down ordeal, and I was like, I mean, it made me being a football All-American. I felt like I was like that big because I was like, that's a real dude. I'm just a football player. I just play a game for a living. This is a true hero, and it was unbelievable. So again, I appreciate you guys. Again, thank you, Don, for bringing Emmett out. But that was a highlight of my day by far is hearing the inside story on Black Hawk Down, and him coming in and saving people and the Delta Force guys and the SEALs. And I mean, talk about like what makes America great. It's our military. I mean, our military, those guys are monsters, man. I would never want to tangle with those guys. And just the valor and everything that they showed, saving, people. And I mean, it's just incredible stuff. To answer your question, how many teams from the Big Ten make the playoffs? I kind of like the 4 number. I could see, obviously, Ohio State, Oregon, easy. I could see Penn State making a run if their offense gets shored up with their new offensive coordinator. And then there's always kind of like a mystery team. I don't know if I think SC is down, but if they can find some defense, they might have a shot. Washington made it last year. See what the new coaching staff looks like. I mean, I think UCLA is going to be atrocious. Michigan, no chance. Nevada, what are your thoughts?
I think it's 4, but yeah. First of all, Penn State's schedule is impossibly easy this year. I mean, you got to look at the schedule whenever you're doing this stuff from now on, because with the extended playoff, with the 12-team playoff, you're really looking at, who's got losses on their schedule and who doesn't. Because if you only have 2 losses on your schedule, you're going to be in the playoff. No matter how weak your schedule is, no matter how bad, if you're in a legitimate conference, you only have 2 losses, you're going to be in there. I'm not sure Rutgers has got more than 2 losses on their schedule. So, I could see Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, and Rutgers being in the playoff this year. That would not shock me one bit because Rutgers avoids everybody. Penn State plays nobody except for us, and I think that could very well end up being the four.
It's amazing. Like people didn't think Greg Schiano could coach. I'm like, the guys made Rutgers.
Yeah,
Rutgers was they were the worst program in the United States in the mid, like 2015 ish. I mean, they were as bad as there was in the history of the sport. And it's like the Chris Ash era. And again, Chris Ash is a nice dude, but I mean, they lost 77-0 3 straight weeks to Penn State, Michigan, and Ohio State. Look it up on the schedule. I was like, that's got to be some sort of a record in the Big Ten. I've never seen a team lose 70-0 3 straight weeks to the three powerhouses. But Shiano's got him back in cooking, man. So he knows he never should have left. I mean, they'd named the stadium Shiano Stadium if he wouldn't have gone to Tampa Bay. But you live and learn. Sean Schrock, thank you for the 5, brother. I hope you're doing great. Thanks for being an Ultra member as well. The NCAA has never given a bowl ban without vacating wins. Nevada, I think, did you say this yesterday on the show? I don't know if you said it on the show, but I know that you said this to me. I don't know. We talk on the phone and for like hours a day, then we're on the show. So I know you said that at some point, but the NCAA has never given a bowl ban without vacating wins. Seems obvious. Like I said, I lived it in 2010, 2011. They vacated our bowl game in 2012. Your thoughts on that? 'Cause I know that you said that to me.
Yeah, no, we talked about that on the air yesterday, and that's just a fact that those things kind of follow, and that's why yeah, look, even the Michigan inside, Ballas, who's just terrible, and it just tries so hard to spin stuff. Talked about how the NCAA is going for a multi-year bowl ban against Michigan. That's what he's hearing from the Michigan side, and that's the most positive. He puts the most positive spin possible on it, and when you hear that. I mean, you know that's happening, and then you know that the vacated wins are coming because, like I said, they're one and the same. You don't have one without the other. And how could you not vacate wins when you were cheating? I mean, you have to vacate the wins. You absolutely have to. I think the open question, I don't want to be the old guy that repeats himself, but should they be forfeits? Should those games be forfeited instead of being vacated? Because there have been, I think Alabama was forfeiting games back there when I think they're using ineligible player. I'd have to go back and check. I don't want to be wrong on that, but the NCAA has used forfeits before, so I think that'll be interesting to watch. The terminology: do they go vacation of the wins or do they go forfeitures? I'm hearing vacating the wins, but I could certainly argue if there ever was a time for forfeits, this would be it.
Yeah, I totally agree on that. I mean that would be wow, wouldn't that be amazing? We get all those Michigan games retroactive gold pins potentially. I don't know if we give them out, but that'd be interesting. Boogie Bucknut, thank you for the 10. Appreciate you, my friend. Thanks for being an Ultra member as well. Thoughts on oh god, we already talked about it. The fired Central Michigan coach rolling over on the cheaters and Connor Stallions. Well, I mean, let's be real. This guy had a real job. I mean, he's a quarterbacks coach at a MAC school, so I'm sure that he's got on his vision board of I want to get to the Big Ten, get to the SEC, become a coordinator there, and then potentially become a head coach. So I mean, he's got to sing like a canary to try to save his career. I mean, the only way that you don't save it is if you get dinged with a show cause and they essentially make you radioactive for the rest of your career. So, yeah, like it doesn't surprise me at all. Obviously he got let go today. Was at Michigan for 4 years as a student assistant, so he got to know somebody in there. And it's not surprising because again, you got to understand these guys they put in a lot of time, they put in a lot of work. They spend hundreds, if not thousands, of hours of their life as coaches making nothing, making either when you're a student assistant, like it says he was at Michigan for 4 years, those guys make $0, zero. Student intern, $0. So he spent 80 hours a week times 52 times 4. Like you guys do the math. I'm not great at math. But, he's going to is he really going to flush that all down the toilet? Or is he going to narc? It's like when these big tough guys in these big, court cases, everyone's tough until they say, hey, you can sing like a canary and flip on your guy and you'll get 1 year in jail or you can do 50 years in jail. And people are like, I'll sing, I'll sign up, I'll cooperate. Ooh, where do I sign? And like, these coaches are the same way. I mean, it's like you can either get a show cause and be radioactive, and that's on your resume forever, and it's the first thing that pops up on your Google search, because nobody in America had ever heard of this kid until he gotten fired for helping Connor Steins get on the sideline. So, yeah, and that's kind of where we're at. Like, I mean, sing like a canary. Again, my thing is if I would have been Michigan in this thing and I was caught red-handed and I'm Ward Manuel and I'm this president who, and those guys are the biggest morons in the universe, I'd be like, okay, guys, we're going to cooperate. Tell them everything you know. Don't be defiant. This isn't, you're not Henry Hill on Goodfellas where, you know, the guy winks at the judge and they let Henry off and, oh, you took your pinch, you got pinched, you took it like a man, you didn't narc on your friends. Like, that's just in the movies. That's just in the mafia. That's not in this stuff. You know, Connor Steins never going to coach again. He wanted to be a head coach, radioactive for the rest of his life. You know, and I'm sure he'll have some swell job that some Michigan donor they'll think it's hilarious will give him. But, you know, he cost his team a national championship essentially by cheating. So, and again, this guy, it's going to be fascinating to see all of the details that this guy probably gave out. Because again, you know, that was an unintended consequence of just being stupid when, you know, eventually, you know, Jim McElwain, who's trying to keep his job, has a guy on the sideline. And how did he get here? Why haven't we heard anything about it? Who did it? Somebody fess up. You know, how to get the pass list. I mean, I guarantee you they interviewed the quarter, you know, all the coaches, the equipment staff, all of the people on the sideline, how to get there, who let them in. They put, again, not being stupid, they probably watched, there's probably surveillance cameras around the stadium that show at the gates. Okay, here's where he came in. Okay, here's the guy letting him in. Here's the guy handing him his pass. Like, whatever. Like, I don't know. I'm not trying to go too deep into it, but it, again, what a dumb move. But again, when you're thirsty, I mean, you're thirsty, and Connor Steins is thirsty. Boogie Buck, not again, thanks for for the 10. Nevada, thoughts on the fired Central Michigan coach rolling over on the cheaters and Connor Steins? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I just don't think he had any choice. I mean, there was only a handful of people that could have got him the coaching outfit and got him on. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like 1,000 people. So they just go and like, dude, who did this? So I don't look at this as like being some particularly heroic act by this guy. I think it's just he was just dead to rights. It's kind of like if your wife has got you just dead to rights, and you're sort of like, okay, yeah, I ate the cheesecake. I did. I've got the cheesecake crumbs on my thing. There, it's you know the wrappers right there, and the plates in my hand, and yeah, I ate the cheesecake. I mean, I think they just had him. He had to admit to it, and I don't know if it's rolling over on them. Yeah, but look, the NCAA's got this. They've got all the stuff. They've got the master spreadsheet. They've got the whole plan. They've got the names of the people that were involved in the caper. I mean, they've got it all. So, you know, that was one of the benefits of the Weiss thing and the sex crimes against minors, because when they did that computer forensics, all that stuff got turned over to the Big Ten and then ultimately to the NCAA. And as soon as they got that stuff on the computer, it was game on. So, like I said, I think this guy is just he was a dupe. He was a guy that was trying to help out Jim Harbaugh in Michigan and trying to do the thing, and he was being led astray by Stallions, who was singing this song to him about someday he's going to be the head coach at Michigan, and he's discovered the secret sauce to victories over Ohio State. And look at me, I started as an unpaid Geppetto, and now I'm on the sideline right next to Jesse Minter and giving advice to Jim Harbaugh in games. That's heady stuff, man. That had to be really impressive. These other guys are going, man, I can't. Connor, how did you do this, man? And he's like, I mean, he was like the golden child. So I think this guy just kind of got caught up in it, had to own it, owned it, lost his job, and he's just going to be the first of many, man, because there's going to be a lot of casualties on this thing, and a lot of bodies are going to be buried for the next 10 years on this deal.
Oh, yeah. Completely agree. Hillbilly Skeptic. That's a great name. Thanks for the 5. Espionage is now a ticket to NFL millions. You can set honey traps for coaches to get computers, plant mics and cameras, and you will get paid. Ask John. I don't know who John is, but I will ask him if I ever figure out. I know a lot of Johns. I don't know if it's John Mormon, but like again, I don't put anything past anybody in the National Football League, man. Again, we saw, like look at Belichick, like the Spygate. I mean, he's like filming walkthroughs and filming signals and the like, and like again, these guys, what the way the money is now, these coaches make, and the lifestyle and the pressure. I mean, these guys will do almost anything to win. I'm not saying they'll all cheat, but it's like, there's a lot of pressure, man. I mean, you're Ryan Day. I mean, I talk to big time guys that are, hey, Ryan Day doesn't beat Michigan this year. He's got to go. And I'm like, what about all the charity work he does and family? Nope, beats Michigan. We're having a talk. It's over. And I'm like, okay. And that's from like a real person. That's not from. It's not just me. That's not from someone on our message board. That's like a real person. I was like, whew, no pressure there. But that's kind of where we're at. And I agree. I mean, I think that the espionage is still going to be a thing, even with the helmet communication. And again, if the Michigan thing wasn't a big deal, then why did they magically pass helmet communication when they could have done that for 30, 40 straight years? They could have put a radio in a helmet. I mean, how long has the NFL had radios in the helmets? I don't 30, 40 years or so. And magically this offseason, they pass it. They lost to have tablets on the sideline. It's like, we've had tablets. How long has the iPad been around? For 10 years at least. Magically, it all gets passed like this year after the Michigan stuff. So, Nevada, your thoughts? Espionage. And again, Hillbilly Septic. Thank you for the 5. Appreciate you, my man. I think I said skeptic first. I'm septic. Espionage is now a ticket to NFL Millions. You can set honey traps for coaches to get computers, plant mics and cameras, and you will get paid. Ask John. Yeah, again, like I'm not, with all of the spy innuendo, like there's a million ways I'm sure you could catch these coaches. You could bug staff rooms. You could, guys tape meetings. I mean, there's guys that I know would get fired at certain places because I know that they audio record staff meetings. Like I never did it because I never needed to do it, never thought to do it. But I know guys that did it, and it's a weird profession, and you better trust people. But I'm telling you, it's the espionage thing is very real in the world of football. Nevada, what are your thoughts?
Well, and we haven't talked about this, so I'm going to just give you because I'm really interested in your answer. Scale of 1 to 100, where 100 being the most severe and most helpful to you in terms of doing stuff. If give me the rating of having the watching tape of walkthroughs, or like the NFL, kind of the Bill Belichick Spygate type of thing. How helpful would that be to ultimately winning the game and moving on? Scale of 1 to 100, where do you place that?
Well, there's two things. If it's just the walkthrough and they're just running their plays, 1 to 100, maybe a 20, 25. If you can see their signals while they're doing it,
well, no. Just let's just go play. Let's just go plays. We'll say a 20.
Yeah, like a 20. Like I said, I'm envisioning like when we always have Friday walkthroughs. We have walkthroughs in the afternoon. Like if someone recorded it, yeah, but I mean, unless there are certain things you could pick up. You could figure out what's the 2-point play going to be, because Ohio State usually carries 1 2-point play, and until they use it in a game, that's the 2-point play. So you can usually pick that up. You could pick up what do they like to do in the goal line, like what are their pass patterns in the goal line? Because again, a lot of times they put different concepts in versus different teams. They mix things up. So maybe a 30 out of 100. You still got to stop it. It's not anything like having the signals that Connor Stein said. Go ahead.
Well, now I'll say, if you had the signals, give me the Stallions. I've got the signals, so I know if they're going to run right, or on a scale of 1 to 100. Oh. I mean, I want your honest answer. Where do you place that?
No, 1,000. I give it 1,000 out of 100. Like I'm not kidding. Like I mean, when I picked signals live in games, it was like, oh my god, this is the greatest thing ever. Again, you're a poker player. Imagine if me and you were playing poker and you do my cards. Like, I mean, would that be the biggest edge of all time? It's like Gray's Sports Almanac and Back to the Future 2, where all of a sudden Biff knew every winner. Like, people say, oh, well, you still got to place the bets or whatever. I'm like, Yeah, but he knows the answers to the test. Like if I could pick signals and I could tell you where the blitz is coming from, that's even if I don't know where it's coming from. Well, I mean, the thing is like if you can project where they're running, because again, most of the running plays are runs to the left are odd, like 13, 15, 17, 19 runs to the right. And again, that's not like some Ohio State exclusivity thing. That's like literally football 101. Runs to the right are always even 2, 4, 6, 8. So if you pick those numbers off, and then you can figure out like this formation. And again, in a football game, you generally repeat a few of your plays. I mean, it's not like when you run 70 plays in a football game, all 70 are different plays. Like eventually you've got to have your bread and butter plays that your inside zone. And again, like once you pick the inside zone signal up, or we loved running that stupid stretch into the boundary, which was the dumbest play of all time. It never worked. But you pick that up, then all of a sudden you're just like, okay, we got the run game down. Still got to stop the pass game. And again, people are like, oh, you still got to guard Marvin Harrison. And this play where they had the signal, like they still scored a touchdown because Marvin Harrison and CJ Stroud are pretty good. But I'm like, guys, like that's, but you still are giving your guys a way better shot because you can double team, you can leave a safety over the top. You literally, when you have that picked, you can alleviate half of the game. Because when you're playing defense, you're like, okay, is it a run or a pass? Well, if you know based on the signals it's going to be a pass or a run, that alone is a gigantic edge. And then if all of a sudden well, it's a run to the left, run to the right, or it's this certain pass concept, which again, if you study the signals and you study the tape, you can figure out the concepts pretty quick. You can pair them all together, and you can say, hey, this is going to be their cover 3 beater, or this is going to be this concept they like this. Because usually like teams, they don't have 80,000 concepts. They usually carry 10 or so. You can't put a million pass concepts out there. So you start whittle it down to the ones that they really like, and you say, okay, it's this pass concept, and it's Marvin Harrison running a slant or whatever. We'll tell Will Johnson to jump it.
So your answer is, from order of magnitude standpoint and everything, it's exponentially more value or serious or whatever you want to call it, what they did to what the Patriots did. And you saw how bad the Patriots got slammed. I mean, they got slammed the harshest way possible that you can in the NFL. And this is exponentially worse. I think here's another thing that I think people don't understand. It's not easy to change all your signaling, man. It's not easy. People well, just change all your signals. It's not easy to do that. I mean, you've got signals that you've got to be able to communicate to. These aren't 12, 11 Rhodes scholars out there in the field. You know what I'm saying? Like these guys, they got to remember all this. Everybody's got to get it right. They got to know this stuff. It's not easy to just hey, Michigan may be picking. Let's change our signals at halftime. Let's do that. I mean, I don't think people realize the degree of difficulty in terms of doing it. It's you can't just flip a switch and everybody's on a different frequency on the Enigma machine. I mean, you've got to be able to communicate this stuff in quickly. People got to understand it. Everybody's got to get it, because if one guy misses it, it's a disaster.
Yeah, I mean, again, it would all of a sudden say, okay, Kirk and Ken, you got to do this show in like Swahili or something. I'd be like, well, I don't know Swahili, and I can't learn Swahili very fast, so you guys are going to have to get used to English. That's what it's like. When you have to change these signals around, I mean, you're not all of these kids are Copernicus now. So I mean, you got to teach them. Like when I had to teach these kids like the offense, like in 12, like it's hard. It's a lot of reps, and I had a whole offseason to do. If I had to switch it all up at halftime, good luck, have fun. And again, that's part of the reason why it's so valuable, is because once people are in game, man, I mean, I guess you could go to like teams are going to wristbands, and again, Tress was the king of counter espionage, because we would switch out the wristbands at halftime when we played Michigan, because even back then he suspected they were picking our signals or stealing our signals. So he would switch out all the plays at halftime. Like the players have a wristband, and we'd signal in a number, so it'd be like 12 or 13 or 52 or whatever. And at halftime he'd switch all the wristbands out. So yeah, having the signals is absolutely incredible. I'm just telling you. Donald Welch, thank you for the 5. Appreciate you, my friend, and thank you for being an Ultra member as well. Got to say, if the roles were reversed and Ohio State was the one cheating, they would burn the horseshoe to the ground. I mean, that's the most obvious thing of all time. Nevada OH.
I.
Well, I think that, with Michigan, they don't have like the big time head coach there anymore. They've got Sharon Moore, who's, I think, just a guy. They don't have Harbaugh. If Harbaugh was still there, I think it would be different. But Ohio State is the brand that ESPN loves to attack more than life itself, and all of the major media guys, they love to attack Ohio State because Ohio State fans care more about Ohio State football than any other sports group cares about any other sport or any other team. So when they're writing about Ohio State, they know they're going to get clicks. They know they're going to get cheap heat. And so they're going to, again, I lived it. Like when the Trustle League was going down and like Joe Shad, who was at ESPN at the time, was camped out outside of our building, outside of our training table while we're like walking out with our food. I'm like, seriously, guys, like they get the satellite TV truck there. I was like, this is insane. But it's big business. Ohio State football is big business. And that's why, our podcast crushes every other podcast because people care about Ohio State football. So I know how the media would act if this was Ohio State. It would be disgusting, but that's just kind of how they are because they're parasites. Nevada, your thoughts? Dan Welch, again, thank you for the 5. And this is a very, very on point statement. Again, this from an ultra member. It says, "Got to say, if the roles were reversed and Ohio State was the ones cheating, they would burn the horseshoe to the ground." Again, look at the Myers scandal. Look at the Tressel scandal. Look at the media coverage that those things generated, and those were nothing compared to what Michigan just did. Your thoughts, Nevada?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, obviously, look, it's with great power comes great responsibility, and Ohio State is, I mean, their ratings, their clicks, their everything that those media guys are after. So, yeah, if this was an Ohio State scandal, just thank your lucky stars that it isn't, because it would be non-stop coverage. They'd have to have a Ohio State scandal channel that this thing would be running 24/7, 365. Um, and we've seen it. We've all lived it, man. We've lived it on stuff. The Urban Meyer scandal. I can't even call that a scandal. What, that he didn't fire Zach Smith because his ex-wife said that he was a bad person, and it's like, man, I don't know how many ex-wives have said bad things about their husbands or something like that, but Zach's probably not the first that's happened. So I don't know. Yeah, it would definitely have been bad. But I'm telling you, this Michigan thing's about to get bad. This Michigan thing is picking up steam, guys. And I've heard this refrain from a lot of Ohio State fans. Oh, nobody cares. Nobody. It's only Ohio State. You're the only one who cares. Like, guys, this one is getting ready to explode. It's going to be big. Not as big as it would have been if Harbaugh's there, but this one's going to be big because this story's too juicy, got too many elements to it, and it's going to bring Michigan down.
Totally agree. Yeah, it's like that's a great point on the X-Files because, like, when it all went down, I mean, she wanted to kill Zach. She wanted to kill Zach's coaching career. She wanted to sing. So, I mean, I don't want to get into that, but I'm just like, I mean, come on, have a brain and figure out who's who in that situation. D. Sunny, thank you for the 5. Again, I appreciate you so much. What do kickers and punters do during the entire practice? Are they taking it easy or are they repping the entire time? Well, it's kind of like being a golfer. I don't know if taking swings the entire 2-hour practice is the smartest thing to do because eventually, if you do that every single day, your leg's going to fatigue. So, the punters and kickers are usually done in the first 35 minutes of practice. Like, we get all of the special team stuff out of the way. They might do some conditioning. They might do some drills on the side field, but they're not like just over there kicking punts for the entire day. So that's actually counterproductive in my opinion. Usually they're chilling. Like back in the glory days, like when I played 1,000 years ago, the guys would be inside playing Tiger Woods on Xbox or PlayStation, whatever system we had. So like, because there was a time where like I had to go inside the Woody, and I don't know if it was because I was hurt or I had to take a final or for some reason I had to go inside the Woody like during practice, like in the middle of practice. I don't know if I had to go, like I had a doctor's appointment or whatever. And those guys are all in there just lounging, like, AJ Trapasso, who I love to death, and was a beast. Like the guys are all in there just playing Tiger Woods against each other, and I'm just like, we're out here like killing. And again, like, but again, at the same token, like, there's not really anything else they can do. It's not like they can go out there just keep kicking and punting and whatever. And again, it's just kind of what kickers are. I mean, the best ever, and I'm telling you, if your kid can learn how to kick, it's the greatest job in the world. Because I'm telling you, when I played for the Chicago Bears, we had Robbie Gould, kicked for like 20 years in the NFL, Penn State guy. We had Patrick Manley, who's one of the greatest long snappers ever lived, great dude. And our punter, I can't remember his name. Like, we would be doing a summer practice, and I swear to God, they would get done with their portion of the practice, and we'd be like in our drills, like killing each other, hot, miserable, concussed, whatever. And you would see, like, Manley had a new Corvette. You'd see these guys literally showered up and leaving in like the middle of the practice. Like, you could like see their golf clubs with their giraffe head on the Big Bertha driver. You can like see them literally they're at the golf course by the time we're in like this halfway through practice. They're already at the course, and I'm just like, I was like, that is the greatest thing I've ever seen. That is the life. They don't even have to see it until the end of practice. It's not like they have to wait for Lovie Smith to call them and say, all right, team, go Bears. Like, they're already on probably the 5th tee by the time we're done. So again, if your kid can be a specialist, it's the best. Now, it's also the most competitive position maybe in all of sports, because if you have one bad game as a long snapper, they're working out 5 dudes and they're probably going to cut you. If you have one bad game as a kicker, maybe 2 if you're a draft pick, you're toast. So you saw the Cade York stuff with the Browns. I mean, it's real. I mean, it's real in the field out there, man. You can't have a bad day, but if you can hang in there, man, that is living. I'm just telling you. Nevada, I don't think you probably don't have anything to add to that. What do kickers and punters do during our practice? Anything to add to that?
No, long snapper's the way to go. They can't hit the long snapper. They have those rules. They used to be able to just kill the long snapper. Now they can't even line up over the long snapper. So yeah, if your kid wants to play football, but you're worried about trauma or whatever it is, and you want to have an outside chance of getting a scholarship, be a long snapper. That is absolutely the ticket, man. Kicker's too much pressure. People like, man, you got to kick it. You got to know how to kick. Anybody can be a long snapper. Anybody can be a long. If you learn proper technique, anybody with a minimum amount of athleticism, you can be a long snapper. Just got to work at it.
I mean, honestly, like when people say, "Kirk, I want to be a Buckeye," what can I do? So learn how to snap. I mean, become because you can go to your backyard and set up a hockey net or something and snap into it over and over and over and over again. You can film it. You can time the velocity. God, I hate that I'm going to blank on this, but we had a long snapper from Georgia who we beat. God, this is going to kill me. But I can't remember his name. He's a great Bryce Haynes. Bryce Haynes is one of the greatest kids of all time. He's the guy I thought would be a 20-year NFL pro long snapper. When we were evaluating his tape, I swear to God, it was like I don't know if it was like 50 straight snaps or something like that. You can watch it in real time with the velocity and the little radar gun. We literally just hit fast forward, and every single snap was literally right in the hands. Like, he had a guy like punter depth with his hands out, and it was the most amazing thing. It was like watching like Steph Curry shoot free throws. It was just effortless, and his velocity was like NFL style, because they measure velocity. How quick does it get back there? And I remember we beat Harvard for the kid. Like, he could have gone to Harvard. His dad was, I want to say, a cardiologist, like a big cardiologist in Atlanta. What a great kid. And it was funny because, you think a kid, he could be a doctor. I don't know what he ended up being, but I mean, he was one of the greatest kids ever. And, Urban shows up, and I'm like, oh God, we got this kid he's not an egg kicks. He was tough as nails, but like, he's beat Harvard and we beat all these big schools on him. It was because the recruiting thing was like Ohio State versus Harvard, which you never see. And Urban loved him. I mean, because Bryce, when we did these crazy 6 a.m.s, we're beating the tar out of these kids, like, Bryce was a dog. And when a kid comes from like, the upper crust, he's a caviar for breakfast kind of kid. I mean, he was a beast though. But again, long snapping, if you get that motion down, man, I mean, you can play forever, and you can play anywhere in college if you want to. Especially if you're a decent athlete, if you're kind of like a linebacker type build, you can get down there and cover on the kickoffs, or excuse me, on the punts, and that's huge. Pooh Beard, thank you for the 10. Appreciate you, my friend. Thanks for being an entrepreneur as well. Chances the infraction committee comes down harder than expected based on what's leaking. I think there's a good chance of that. Would any Weiss infractions fall under recent offender on probation and lead to more punishments? Nevada OH.
Oh,
I'll go first. I think there's a chance they could come down harder. I mean, again, this is unprecedented. So again, we're shooting in the dark a little bit about projecting something that's I think the worst crime in college football history, because it led to things that never should have happened that happened, like when they beat us and. Like I mean, think about the anguish that Ryan Day and C.J. Stroud and all these guys, Paris Johnson had to go through, and then they figure out that these guys were cheating the whole time. It's like, well, yeah, no wonder that a team that sucked and had to dodge us in 2020 magically became good, competent. Nevada, would any Weiss infractions fall under a repeat offender says? So I'll give you the first part again. Um, Chances the committee could come down harder, and then would any of the Weiss infractions fall under repeat offender probation and lead to more punishments? Your thoughts?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, this is just a framework. The penalties that we talked about are just a framework of what is being discussed. I mean, you see it all the time. There'll be a sentencing recommendation, and a judge will come down harder than that, or will come down at the high end of the spectrum. I'm trying to give you a range of where I expect it to end up, but it certainly could be harsher than that. Just as Kirk said, just because of the unprecedented nature and the severity. I mean, one of our great posters, Goosey, had done a thing. He'd like fed it to the AI, talked about Michigan, and the AI spit out this thing about what the NCAA considers when they're doing severity. And when you read this thing, it's like 10 points, and every single one of them, like Michigan fails on. Lack of institutional control, lack of candor, lack of cooperation, severity of infractions, repeat offense. I mean, like it's like literally a checklist. It's like a parade of horribles for Michigan, and that's why for any Michigan fans, I'm just telling you guys, you better get your head right on this because this is going to shock you if you're not like prepared for this. This is going to be bad. It's going to be bad. Expect the worst and hope for anything less than that, and you'll at least be able to, be able to maintain some sort of sanity. But this is going to be bad. If you're expecting this is a nothing burger. Oh, we're going to get an apology and Connor Stallings was vindicated. No, no, it's bad. It's only going to get worse for you from here. And yeah, I expect the NCAA to come down at the high end of the spectrum, but I'm trying to moderate my own expectations about it by staying somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, I totally agree. Chris S, thank you for the 10. Watching from Tampa. Beautiful part of the world. Love Tampa. If Nevadabuck is right about the team at North's penalties, I'm loving life. We agree. I mean, I'm telling you, you wait till you see that podcast. You thought Notre Dame was something. That'll be nothing compared to what I'm going to be like. That penalty shows exactly what we want, which is that they cheated. I agree. And again, like we're tracking it. Again, when it's going to come, I don't know. The NCAA moves like a tugboat, and we're not like people are like, was it coming today, tomorrow? I was like, we're not running the investigation. We've got good sources on it, but they take their time because they want to. They don't want to move fast. They want to move correctly. And again, there's a lot of stuff to go through here. They're skimming through a lot of evidence, and when it happens, it's going to be fantastic. Nevada, again, Chris S says, watching for Tampa. If Nevadabuck is right about the team at North, he's loving it life. The penalty shows exactly what we want, which is that they cheated. I agree. I'm sure you agree as well.
Yeah, I just want justice. We're not. It's never going to be equitable. It's never going to replace everything that we lost, everything that Ohio State lost. It's never going to get there. So as an Ohio State fan, you got to get your head out of that way. And no, I would be very pleased with these any penalties that make Michigan pay and kind of erase some of the bad stain of the games where they clearly cheated and had got ill-gotten games. They should it's like those people that make $20 million from insider training and they make them forfeit all the riches. That's what I want to see. I want Michigan to forfeit the fruits of the whatever tree, the poison tree or the poison fruit from the bad tree or whatever it is. Fruit tree, I want it taken away from Michigan because they cheated.
Yeah, I totally agree. Let me get to David Dickerhoof, I hope you're good, brother. Thank you for the 50. That's very generous of you. Going to pay it forward. Just paying it forward for happy thoughts of the team at North getting blasted. Is there an NCAA website, Ty, that will show the vacated wins? Have a have a golf outing in September. Um, we could move it next year. I mean, we usually do it around this time of the year before school starts and football gets rolling. But yeah, the Blue fans do need more ammo. It's gonna be very interesting. I I know the NCAA website usually doesn't. I don't think it shows the vacated wins. Like I don't think that it makes any mention of our 2010 season, but I could be wrong there. Or it might show it. It might say wins vacated. But obviously, it's not going to show that we were 12-1 and top four-ish team in the country. Like I think we finished, but so yeah, Nevada, David Diggerhoof again. Thank you for the 50, my friend. He says just paying it forward for happy thoughts of the team at North getting blasted. Is there an NCAA website that will show the vacated wins? He says have another golf outing in September. We usually do one a year. Like we don't want to wear people out, but I'd love to see you at it. Again, it is a blast of a day. And we always promote it on BuckeyeScoop.com. Nevada, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not sure how the NCAA reports that stuff. Like you said, when you go around Ohio State, it's like that stuff never happened. It was like it was erased. It's like they did that Men in Black eraser thing, and took all that stuff away, which kind of I mean it sucks. Is it the biggest deal in the world? No. I mean to me the go forward penalties are far bigger than the back looking penalties, but they both have a place, and I think that's why the punishment for Michigan has got to feature both. It's got to be go forward, and I don't want to hear any of this. Oh, why punish the kids that had nothing to do? Well, somebody's got to pay the bill. Somebody's got to pay the bill. So we're going to take away some stuff going backwards, but that's not equitable. So you're going to have to feel some pain going forward as well. And yes, some of the players, all those guys that were jumping up and down, pointing to the sky, not all of them are going to be there, but some of them are. And hey, it's just the way it is, man. When the music stops and the lights go up, you got to pay the bill, and the bill's coming due now, Michigan. And so yeah, but I'm not sure how the NCAA reports that, does that, but I'll look into that and find out.
I appreciate that. Eric Peterson, thank you for the 10. I appreciate you, my friend. Think we'll mix up some 2 and 3 linebacker sets, and will Gabe Powers see the field at all, other than in a blowout win? How's his development coming? Pulling for him, seems like a good kid / hard worker. I think the 3 linebacker thing. I think is more versus teams that you've got a good feel when they're going to run. If they're heavier personnel, if they're a team that likes to go 2 tight ends, you can match it with 3 linebackers. A heavier team like Wisconsin, what they used to do, what Michigan used to do, you almost have to go 3 linebackers. Notre Dame, you had to go 3 linebackers. I just think it's more about what's the other team like to do. If it's a team that's spread out, it's hard to keep a third linebacker in the game, because when do a third linebacker, you take Jordan Hancock, right? And Jordan Hancock's one of the best corners in the country. Doesn't get the notoriety, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if he's a first round pick next year. He's that good. But I think that the thought of having CJ, Cody Simon, and Sonny, like that's as athletic of a trio as we've ever had on the field. Like as much as I love guys from the past, like I don't know if any of them could run with those 3 combined. So that'll be interesting, because Sonny'd be the guy I think would walk out and play Sam linebacker, strong side linebacker, over the slot, and he could do it. I mean, he played safety last year, and if Sonny Styles jams a slot receiver, he might knock him into C deck. So that'll be really exciting to see. Gabe Powers is a kid that we're rooting for hard. He's a Marysville kid. Everybody loves Benny's in Marysville. It's one of the greatest places in the world. And Gabe's a tough kid. He is a great athlete. He was a monster in high school. Played both ways, which is a way to get to my heart. Is most of these kids don't like to play both ways anymore, but he did. So I think he's made huge strides. I know that James Laurinaitis loves him. In a long season, man, he better be ready to roll, because he's our backup Mike. And Cody Simon, who I love to death and is, I think, pretty close to cinching being a captain, he's had injury issues. And that's the only thing. That's the only reason why Cody's even still here. Because if Cody was healthy, I think he'd have been an early entry to the NFL draft. Because he's that athletic, he's that big and strong. But he had severe, both shoulders, massive surgeries on both shoulders. So, I mean, hard to play linebacker with 2 bad shoulders. So we were really high on him early in his career, and we're just as high on him now, just because he's a dominant kid. Military background from his folks, raised the right way, big time leader. Love everything about Cody. Think he's going to be a great captain at Ohio State this year. So, Gabe's going to learn from a really good player, but you're going to need Gabe. I mean, you got to rotate these guys a little bit. And Tommy Eichenberg and Steele played, I thought, too many snaps last year. I think they wore down towards the end. So I'd like to see these guys rotate in, and that means you got to get Gabe Powers involved. Nevada, Eric Peterson, again, thanks for the 10. He says, I think we'll mix up some 2 and 3 linebacker sets, and will Gabe Powers see the field at all, other than in a blowout win? How's his development coming? Pulling for him seems like a good kid / hard worker. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I know. No, he'll play real snaps this year. I mean, you mentioned the long season. I mean, it's a long season. They are absolutely committed to playing guys, early and often and when it matters. And Gabe's a kid that can play. He can absolutely play. And I think we're going to see a healthy mix of 2 and 3 linebacker sets. As you said, it's so hard because our defense is so talented. And yeah, do you want to take a kid like Jordan Hank off the field? Well, it's tough to do that. But invariably, somebody's going to get nicked up, somebody's going to be hurt, somebody's going to be get a concussion or something like that. And Gabe is a kid that every time they put him on the field, he makes plays. So yes, I expect to see him on the field this year. I hope everybody stays healthy, but if history's any guide, that won't probably happen. But in a 16, 17 game schedule, you're going to need all hands on deck. You're going to need more depth than you've ever needed before. And Gabe's a guy that can play, but he'll play when it matters. And I think he'll do a nice job.
Yeah, and for Gabe, obviously camp is huge, but the Akron game's like a Super Bowl for him because he's gonna get in. We better blow those guys out, empty the bench, and people are like, oh, what's a blowout win, whatever. Like, dude, for the guys that are coming off the bench and are trying to earn more reps and earn a spot, like that is your chance to flash. You know what I mean? I know everyone thinks AJ Hawk was just a monster the second he got to the stadium, but it's like, when he was a freshman, he played, I think it was against Kent State. I think he had a pick six, and that kind of started his like ascension up the ranks to the point where as a sophomore, he's a starter. He was a big factor down the stretch, on special teams in the 0-2 season. So those aren't just like garbage time reps. Those are like, hey, let's go make hay. Let's go make plays. Let's go, because again, when I'm a coach, hey, if you guys all want to get in the game, well, hey, here's your shot. Show me I'm wrong. Show me that I picked the wrong right guard. Show me I picked the wrong will linebacker or the wrong safety or whatever. Like, show me I'm wrong. Get out there and produce. And again, their film gets graded the same as the starters do. And if the starter stinks it up and those other guys are balling, I mean, again, we saw like Josh Proctor was a starter for one game against Notre Dame a couple years ago. And it's like he didn't play the rest of the season, it seemed like. He got benched for, I think, Lathan. And it was like, so, I mean, just because guys named a starter doesn't mean he held on. But I feel really good about Cody. Tony Turley, what is up, brother? The King of Toledo. Thank you for the 20. Appreciate you, my friend. Thanks for being an Ultra member as well. Hello, Scoop Gang. Would have loved to be at the golf outing, but had 2 depositions today. Ooh, that is a long day. Hope you had like the bright lights on them and you gave them like the glass of water like they do in the movies. That'd be perfect. Kirk, would you in Nevada like me to do some more research on title recessions vis-a-vis vacated wins in the same season? Nevada OH. Tony, I'd love to do that because when you do these research projects, they're like graduate level. I mean, they're monstrous reads and they're great to learn. They educate me, and I think that the fan base here on the podcast would be interested in that, just because this is what could really happen. This is what is the precedent. It's not just we're Ohio State fans, and no, this is what's really happened through the course of time. So I would love that. Nevada, Tony Turley, again, he had 2 depositions today, and he said, would you like for him to do more research on title recession vis-a-vis vacated wins in the same season? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'd like you to focus specifically on the whole thing between the distinction between forfeits and vacations, if you could, because I think that would be fascinating to find out how many times has the NCAA done forfeits, what were the circumstances surrounding the forfeits, and why would they go to a vacation? I mean, the whole topic is fascinating, but that little subtopic I think would be enormously relevant to what we're discussing. So appreciate the King of Toledo helping us out.
Appreciate you so much, my man. Matt Crawford, thank you for the 10. Appreciate you, my man. Concerning vacating wins, would vacating post Stallions games if tickets purchased by him had been redeemed be considered, or would that seem? I think it'd be. He said it would be seen as too draconian. Great word, draconian. It's one of my favorite words. Um, I think that it's all on the table. Even if they say, well, he was fired by this point, but they'd had self scouting or whatever. I mean, I think it's all on the table. Because I mean, you can say, well, he wasn't there for that game, but what intel did he procure leading up weeks before that game? Because again, when they're going to four, I don't know if they're going to get like 4 or 5 Ohio State games. I'm sure they were at the Notre Dame game getting our signals then. Like it's, what did he leave behind? What did the other people know? Again, this isn't like tinfoil hat stuff. This is like the stuff really happened. This is like, this is real life. So I don't think it'd be too draconian at all. Nevada, again, Matt, thank you for the 10. Appreciate you, my friend. Concerning vacating wins, would vacating post Stallions games, if there were tickets purchased by him, have been redeemed be considered, or would that seem true draconian? So basically, I believe that the question is if they had bought tickets to scout Ohio State, but he'd been dismissed by the middle of the season, would they extend vacating games even after he was gone? What are your thoughts?
I think it's all on the table. I think, well, I shouldn't say I think. I know that the NCAA considers this to be the most severe cheating scandal in the history of college football. I know that. That's not a guess. That's not an opinion. That's not a Nevadabuck, whatever you want to call it. That's a fact. So, I mean, given that, when you put it in that context, it makes perfect sense to me. Does it seem a little over the top? Maybe, but I think everything's on the table because this thing was so outrageous, because Michigan's conduct was so reprehensible, and because the response to this was so flippant and so so defiant. Their president, Tweety Bet. I mean, like, what the? I mean, I would be so embarrassed to have that guy represent. That guy should resign. The only thing that saved his job was this improbable run to the college football, to a couple of games in the college football playoff. Um, that guy's a disgrace. Him and Manuel are both a disgrace. Their reaction was a disgrace, but they had their fun. Now it's time, to pay the piper, and I think everything's on the table. So it certainly doesn't seem overly draconian to me. Although, do I think it'll happen? I don't think so. Could it happen? Absolutely.
Yeah, I totally agree. Uh, Colin, 14 all day. Thank you for the deuce. Will the college football playoff honor a Big Ten bowl ban being a third party? I mean, I don't know how they couldn't. If you're banned, if you have a Big Ten bowl ban, I don't know how they'd ever accept you into the college football playoff. But that's just my opinion. Nevada, do you have a different opinion on that?
No, 100%. You got to remember who's on the college football playoff committee. Tony Petitti's on the college football playoff
Yeah,
committee.
exactly.
You guys are acting like this is some, this is some different entity. That's the kind of thinking. And I'm not accusing the subscriber, but I've heard this thing about when there was at one point in time, the Michigan thing on this was, well, since we hired people to do this and they weren't Michigan employees, it's not against NCAA rules because they weren't NCAA employees. It's like, no, all this stuff, even though they're different entities, it's all made up of the same guys. And if you're on probation for the NCAA, if you've got a postseason ban, you're not going to the college football playoff. Period. End of story. Just like Ohio State didn't make it to the BCS championship or whatever it was in 2012 when we're undefeated or whatever it is. It's like, no, they're not. It's not going to happen. Zero chance, and they're going to have to serve their penalty. And it's going to be a long time. And for Michigan fans, it's going to be a long, dark winter. It's like winter's coming in Game of Thrones, man. It's going to be really cold and really dark, and it's going to stink, man. But it's coming.
I totally agree. Keaton, thanks for the 5. Appreciate you, my friend. Been arguing with Michigan fans on Twitter all day. It's amazing how far in denial they still are. Yeah, I mean, Twitter is kind of like a rat's nest. I mean, we use it just to troll people basically at this point on our Buckeye Scoop account. I mean, it's kind of the lowest form of communication because people are just so angry on there. And I'm just like, why are you so weird and angry? And people tweet at our accounts all the time. They say all kinds of crazy stuff. And I'm just like, great. It's like old man shouts at clouds, "Oh, I'm gonna get you." But I I don't know. They are dumb. And again, anyone that can't see how bad this is, the only people that think that they're not going to get smoked is Michigan fan, and then some of the people that are skeptical Ohio State fans. So, Nevada, your thoughts? Keaton's been arguing with Michigan fans on Twitter all day. It seems like how far in denial they still are, and their beat being terrible also kills them because they're not really informed at all. So they have to come watch us so they can figure out what's really going on. Your thoughts, Nevada?
Yeah, get off Twitter. That's my thought.
It
Because
is
you're
it
never
is
going to
it
win the
is
arguments.
the land of the dumb. I'm telling you, the
It's
dumbest
the
human
land.
beings are super active on Twitter and they just talk on it all day, and it's like nobody really cares what you have to say. Like you're not really relevant.
No,
So
no.
yeah.
The more active you're on Twitter in
Oh
general,
God.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, no. Look, it's happening though. It's happening in real time. I've said this many times. How does it happen? A little at first, then all at once. Well, the all at once part is coming right now, and you can see the dam breaking. You can it's palpable. You can feel it happening right now, and all this stuff is coming out. The Central Michigan stuff is coming out. The notice of allegations coming out. I mean, it's coming. And I think it's sooner than later. I hate getting involved in timing, but I think it's sooner than later. I can feel this. Been doing this long enough to know that when operational tempo picks up, generally something happens afterwards. Well, the operational tempo on this is definitely at a much higher pace than it was even a week ago.
I agree. Donald and Karen Rospect, you've been an ultra member. Thank you for this is a good question. Yeah, this was awesome. It was awesome to see Archie Griffin being asked to dot the I this year. Excuse me, Nevada OH.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised. I get like the senior sousaphone guys are, they all dream of dotting the I. Obviously, that's like the highlight of their career. It's something that only the sousaphone guys get to do. But I wish they would have let Trust dot it last year for the Youngstown State game because it just seemed like the perfect game to do it because it's the last time we'll ever play Youngstown State for the rest of our lives. And he was in the building, and I know that they got to do it in advance, whatever, but that was an air biscuit from our former illustrious athletic director to not do that for Tress. Like Woody did it, Jack Nicholas did it, Earl Bruce did it for the Rutgers game. I think in 2015, I was at that game. So yeah, it was awesome, and again, I'm glad you pointed that out, Donald and Karen, because there's a cool video online where they're at the Woody Hayes and Archie's kind of standing there, like it's obviously it's a thing where, hey, Archie, act like you're looking at this trophy, and they come marching in with the giant, sousaphones, and could you read this? And it's cool he's going for the Akron game, the home opener. Yeah, it's gonna be really cool. Nevada, your thoughts again? Thank you so much, Donald and Karen. Appreciate you guys so much. They say it was awesome to see Archie being asked to dot the I this year. Your thoughts?
yeah. I mean, I'm proud to call Archie a friend, and couldn't happen to a better person and a more deserving person and a more appropriate person. And so, yeah, long overdue in my opinion, but what a great honor, and going to be a great day in the horseshoe.
It's weird because like with Archie, like you think they would have done this a while ago, maybe. I mean, I don't know. Like I don't know like what's the statute where it's like okay, he has to be. Because Archie hasn't played in a long time, so it's like I don't. He's getting up there now, and all of a sudden they let him dot it. So that'll add something really compelling other than seeing JJ Smith to the first game. D Sunny, thank you for the 5. Oh God, here we go. Didn't know Nevada was a poker player. What's been your longest poker session? I've hit 24 hours. Nevada, I have no idea how long you've played poker for. I've watched you play a little bit of poker, video poker, and it's hilarious because you're like you get your little system, and somehow every time I'm with you, you hit a hand pay, which is amazing. But any thoughts on your longest? 'Cause you don't seem like a guy that would do like a marathon 24-hour poker thing because I just know that you like your sleep and your rest and your beef Wellington and your Coke and not that kind of Coke, but like a diet Coke. So, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I've been playing poker for a long. I was playing poker long before the Chris Moneymaker explosion of the World Series of Poker, and have had some epic games. I don't think I've ever gone 24 hours straight, but I've had games. I've had games that have gone on with like breaks where you had like a 2 or 3 hour break that have gone on 3 days, 4 days. So like, you'll play, you'll break for dinner, you maybe take a 2 hour nap, then you're back. I mean, I've had some pretty epic sessions that way, but haven't done that in a while. But I love playing. I love everything about playing poker, and watching great poker players is like watching a symphony as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, I love everything about poker.
Now, this will be a stupid question. Do you prefer at this point in your life? Do you prefer video poker over regular poker, like in a game, or because I mean, I think video poker is hilarious. I think it's a blast to play, especially when you're chilling, like relaxing, in Vegas, doing whatever. Um, do you like the regular standard game where you're sitting around the table?
No, I mean, no, I mean, at this stage, because it just depends on whether I want to interact with people. If I don't want to interact with
Yeah,
people,
exactly.
I'll have my cocktails and I'll play high stakes video poker, and
Uh,
there's not a lot of strategy to that, but at least you feel like you're playing a little bit. But
yeah,
it just depends on if you want to interact with folks right now, or how much time you've got ready to allocate it. Because when I lived in Vegas, allocating
oh,
36 hours or 70 hours was not a big deal because you live there. When you don't
yeah,
live in Vegas, when you're there on a 48-hour bender, do you want to spend 32 of that at a poker table?
yeah.
Probably not. So, it's
You
all
got go ahead.
trade-offs, places to be, people to see, places to go. So,
Yeah, we got to get to. Is it Gordon Ramsay's or they got the beef Wellington? And you get the actual bottle of Coke. You're getting
yeah,
a Coke
right.
classic. You're the polar
Yeah,
bear. I was
exactly.
that's the funniest thing I've ever seen. SC Buckeye, thank you for the 5 free my man. Thank you for the ultra member as well. Which was worse, the SMU scandal or the Michigan cheating scandal? Shout out to Kim and Devin tonight. Great show. Nevada OH.
I
I think the Michigan cheating scandal is worse because buying players is something that they were just sloppy with it. I mean, they were just so outright and braggadocious. I mean, Dallas, again, if you guys haven't seen Pony Express on ESPN, it's one of the greatest 30 for 30s ever made. And those guys were just they were just so stupid about it. But, they bought Dickerson and they buy, they give a brand new Trans Am, and these guys are flipping who'd never even been to SMU's campus are flipping on signing day from Oklahoma and Texas. And, I mean, that was bad. But I mean, teams all around the country have been cheating and funneling money. They just got way more sophisticated and less, stupid about it. Like they were stupid back then. The Michigan thing, the on-field cheating is a totally different ball of wax for me. Because if I'd have lost the Michigan game, if I'd have lost the '06 game, because they had our signals and they knew when we were running to the right or passing or whatever, that's a totally different ball of wax. I would have been, hot, heated. If they buy a really good defensive end or a really good quarterback, whatever. I mean, again, literally that's legal now. What SMU did is legal. What Michigan did will never be legal ever. You're never gonna be able to send somebody to go film signals and advanced scout in college football. So again, that's just my opinion. Nevada, do you have a differing opinion? Which is this SMU or Michigan cheating scandal? Your
No,
thoughts?
I mean, honestly, even contemporary with the times, I think the SMU thing was maybe a 30 on a scale of 100, and the Michigan thing's a 99. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the most severe thing. Like you said, you expect people to pay for players, or give the guy the bag, or give Cam Newton's dad $250,000 to his church, or what. I mean, that's just baked in the cake. But what Michigan did, man, nobody's ever done this because it's so illegal, it's so wrong, um, and the punishment they get has to be commensurate with the crime, because this was beyond the pale.
Yeah. Totally agree. All right, Nevada, we can wrap this show up. Any final thoughts?
No, we just appreciate you guys so much. But if you like this show, come over to Buckeye. Consider coming over to BuckeyeScoop.com and
Yeah.
joining. This is what we do the other 23 hours a day. We're getting ready to jump into the biggest season in Ohio State football history. We're going to have breaking news, all sorts of inside information, and obviously always the best news on the Michigan scandal. We break it all there first on the website before we come here to the podcast. If you like this podcast, You'll love the website. Consider joining us there. And we appreciate you guys. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Yeah, absolutely. As always, we appreciate you guys and all that you guys do. If you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like. Click subscribe, also click that little alert bell. Again, thank you to David Penterick and everybody that participated in the Penterick Classic, the Buckeye Scoop golf outing. It was a blast today. So thank you guys for showing up. I love you guys so much. Again, we appreciate all that you guys do. It's another huge show because you guys made it one. So thank you. With that being said, if you guys enjoy this, please consider subscribing to Apple Podcasts or Spotify Podcasts. Those have been two platforms we've been growing like crazy, along with YouTube. They've just been exponentially growing. So all of you guys that have left us reviews, thank you. Continue to leave us reviews. Leave us a like on your way out the door. We appreciate you guys. So we'll be ready to rock again at 7 o'clock tomorrow. Thank you so much, Buckeye Nation, and thank you, Scoop family. Talk to you guys tomorrow. Hope you guys have a great night. Go Bucks.